Hello all, I'll give you a quick recap on whatever the topics we discussed so far. So we discussed about ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning Software. It's a kind of software product which helps to run the entire organization business process, right? Including sales, manufacturing, production, finance, human resources, right? Project planning and everything. All the solutions are already developed in the form of a ERP product, okay? So it helps to improve the business performance and reduce the communication delay. Also, it acts as a single point of source for the entire organizational data. Okay, you don't need to go into different systems to find data of our transactions, right? So if you take any large organization, including telecom, pharma, any industry you take, right? So most of them are using SAP as their ERP products, right? To manage their business. Okay. So whatever the front end screens you can see, those might be different. Those may not be ERP, but the data from where the data is coming from into that screens, right? The data can be coming from SAP ERP only. They display data in a different screen by using some APIs. Okay, that's why SAP ERP acts as a single point of source of data for entire organizational data. Okay, so what is ABAP? ABAP is a fourth generation programming language which we use in SAP ERP to create the custom applications as per the customer requirements, right? And enhance the standard application with additional features, right? To do these two functionalities, we use ABAP. Okay, and we have discussed about OLTP, OLAP. OLTP is online transaction processing system, right? Where we create the transactions, all the business transactions daily. What is OLAP? OLAP is a decision making system where the management will do the data analysis, right? To predict the future or to analyze their business, right? So this is the typical ETL process. So every day after business hours, whatever the transactions created on the day, that might be sales orders, purchase orders, bills, right? Employee, new hires, terminations, payroll, salary credits, and everything, all the transactions will be moved to OLAP system after business hours. In OLAP system, we maintain historical data, okay, for the data analysis purpose, right? To find, like if you take any bank as example, so they'll maintain last 10 years data in OLAP system, and they can analyze who is the customer, right? Spending more on online purchases, right? They can go through the transaction details and they can find the details, right? From which region most of the customers are spending in online shopping, right? So that in that region they can find better offers for online banking, for online purchasers, so that they can attract the more customers, right? And they can also provide better value add for the customers if they can understand what is the requirements of the customer. How can they understand? By analyzing the historical data. Okay, by analyzing those lakhs of millions of historical data, they can find the customer requirements, right? They can analyze, right, the business data. For that purpose, we use a separate OLAP system. We don't do analysis on the OLTP system where we create daily transactions. Okay. And all these things you are already aware of, and I'll explain one more time about SAP R3 architecture. So SAP ERP is a 3-layer architecture. We have a database, which is a separate layer where data is stored in the form of rows and columns in the tables. And we have application layer where all the application programs will be available. And we have a presentation layer where user can access the system. Can you tell me any real world example for a presentation layer? Your web browser. By typing gmail.com, you can access your email, right? But you are not installing anything in your system, right? It's just a GUI, a screen to access the data in the server. right? If you take any of your mobile application, that is also kind of presentation layer where you are able to access the data from the servers. But actually, the data is resides somewhere in USA in a database center. Application server might be somewhere in Singapore, right? But you are able to access data from your laptop web browser using that presentation layer, right? So why we have two different layers for application and database? Because to reduce the system load and to reduce the impact on the entire system. Okay, they created two separate servers for application and database. In application you have programs, in database data, right? Data is stored in the form of tables. And we discussed about master data and transactional data. So master data is the data which changes very rarely. Example is your customer master data in the bank, your customer ID, mobile number, email ID, address, right? These are all example for the customer master data, which changes very rarely. What about transaction data? Your daily transactions like withdrawals, deposits. If you take any business example, sales orders, purchase orders, right? Billing documents. These are all the examples for transactional data. First, what is the prerequisite to create any transaction? Master data. First, you need to create the master data. Based on that master data, you are going to create the transactions. Okay. And we have already used data syntax and parameter and write statement in our program to create a simple program. What is the use of data statement? To define a variable in the program is a temporary memory, right? To define a temporary memory called variable, so that we can hold some value in that, right? What is the use of write statement? To display the output, to print the output in the output screen. So what is the use of parameter statement?
For user inputs.
Yeah, if you want to provide the user inputs for the program, so we use a parameter statement so that user can enter their inputs and execute the program, right? We'll discuss the other options later. So is everyone clear on creating a program, a basic program? What is the transaction code to create a program?
SC38.
SC38 is the, what should be the name? What is the mandatory rule to create a custom program?
To start with a Z or Y.
Yeah, the program name should starts with Z or Y. Since we are creating a custom program, okay, so it starts with Z or Y. Okay, and these are the data types which I have already discussed. Now, so since you're already aware of creating a basic program, so SAP ABAP is not only programming, right? Not only creating programs, right? There are we need to create tables, we need to create views, structures, which doesn't require any programming. It is just navigation. You should understand the navigations. So we call that concept as a data dictionary, where we work with the database. Okay, where we work with the database objects like tables and views and structures. Okay, so here you don't need any programming. It's just a navigation using a screen. Okay, again we can create through programming also using SQL statements also, that we learn in the advanced ABAP. Okay, again that is not mandatory. If you can understand these navigations, that is sufficient for now. Okay, we don't need any coding. So we call this as data dictionary. Data dictionary acts as an interface between database server and application layer. So database layer and application layer. Let me show you the architecture. So data dictionary acts as an interface, a medium between database and application programs, because we are not able to access the database. We cannot directly access the database in SAP. If you go to the SAP server, if you log into the SAP server, we are not accessing the database directly. So we are able to access the application programs. Those application programs will connect with the database. Okay, we don't log into the database directly, right? Let me show you what is data dictionary. How can we create a tables to store any data permanently? Let me log in into one of the S4HANA systems. So this is the presentation layer, right? We are able to access the SAP using this presentation layer. We call this as presentation layer or GUI, SAP GUI, right? I'll show you one important thing here. So we are in presentation layer, right? How can you know what is the application layer and database layer of this system? So what is the database? What is the application of this system, this SAP system? In menu options, go to status. Go to status here. The initial screen. Host nothing but application server. On which operating system this application server is running? Linux operating system. It's not on the Windows, it's on Linux operating system. It is the server name of the application system. And this is the database system. What is the database we are using? HDB. HDB nothing but HANA database. HDB nothing but HANA database. So this S4 HANA system is running on HANA database. But we cannot directly access the database. Okay? We cannot directly access the database. Sorry? Any questions? So this is the system time. This is the system time. You can see current system time here, because when you are working in the customer projects, right? You're accessing US or UK clients, right? Their systems. If you check the current system time, it will be maintained as per their time zone. Okay? You need to write any logic or you need to implement anything, depends on their time zone, and you need to consider their time zone logic. Okay, you can check the system time here. This one is the system time. It is little different than our current time, right? This is the system
Hello.
time. Yeah.
Sir, screen seems to be stuck. Not sure if it is only for me or.
Is it for everyone? Can you confirm?
It's showing the R3 architecture, so
Okay, let me share it again. Maybe looks like I just share the. Let me share the entire screen. Can you see? Can you see the screen now?
Yeah, we can see now.
Yeah. Looks like I've shared only the PPT. So when you log into the initial screen of SAP, right? So if you go to status, here you can check what is the current system time and what is the application server and what is the database server using for this SAP, right? Using for this SAP server. What is the database we are using? HANA database, HDB. So this host data nothing but application server. Application server is running on Linux operating system. Okay. So you can check in status. So this is called GUI. From here you can access any application using any specific transaction code. So I'll show you some basic introduction to the data dictionary where we create database tables. So we'll start programming again after few sessions. Okay, because you have some basic understanding, right, how to create a program. Now let's see how to create a table, database tables to store the data. So the transaction code to create data dictionary tables are SC11. We are able to, it's kind of interface screen. By using this screen navigations, you can create a table in database. You don't need to write any SQL script. If you take any other databases, what you need to do to create a table? You need to write SQL statements, right? Create table, and you need to define the fields and their corresponding data types. Yes or no? And then it will create the table. Now here you don't need to write any SQL code. So now I am in data dictionary S11. The transaction code is S11. What is the transaction code for data dictionary?
SC11.
Where you create the database tables, okay, by using some navigations. Here also the rule is all the custom table names should starts with Z or Y. Let me show you an existing standard table. KNA1 is the standard table for customer master data. It is for customer master data. So customer master details like customer number, customer name, country, address, and everything will be maintained in this table in the database level. The programs will access this table to get the data. Okay. So if you see this table, what are the fields available in this table? Kunar nothing but customer number, land one nothing but country, name one nothing but name of the customer, right? ORT01. So what is ORT01? ORT01 is city, right? PSTLZ, this is postal code. So why these names are little different? Because, so who developed this SAP ERP software? German developers, right? So it developed in Germany. It's this software is from Germany, right? So initially they developed all these tables and everything in German. Okay, so that's why these field names and everything which are like similar to German keywords. Okay, so you can see the description to understand the field. Kunar means customer, land one means country. Okay, so once you start using these tables, you can easily understand these fields and tables. Now, in the table, we have some mandatory properties to be defined. That is primary key. First thing is primary key. To maintain the unique data, we use this primary key so that we don't need to save the duplicate records. Same customer again. We should not save the same customer again in the table, right? We should maintain only one customer, right? One record for customer in the master data table. We should not allow any duplicate data with the same customer, right? That's why we use a key called primary key. This is called primary key. It will make sure we are saving only unique data, right? We are not allowing the duplicate records in this table. Okay, so this is the standard table. It is developed by SAP. Now let's create a simple table. What is the rule to create a custom table? The name should starts with Z, right? Z. I'll give some name, demo. Employee. First, let me check, is this table already available? With the same name, someone created this table or not? Looks like someone have already created this table. Let me delete it first. How to delete a table? You cannot delete the standard tables, but you can delete the custom tables. Enter the table name and delete it. If you don't want that table anymore in your system, I'm deleting everything so that I can create again with the same name. Looks like it is being used somewhere. I'll take different name. I changed the name. Create the table. Click on create. Continue. Provide the description of the table. What is the purpose of this table? Employee master data. Delivery class. Observe this carefully. So what type of table you are creating? Is it to store the business data like master data and transaction data, or is it to store the system configurations? Okay, for now just remember these two terminologies. I'll explain the more technical details in other sessions. For now just observe in the delivery class, what you need to provide, whether you are creating a application table. Application table is nothing but master table or a transaction data table, where you store master data or transactional data, business data, or configurations data, system configurations data. These other tables are for those system configurations data. So now I am creating a business data table that is for master data. That's why I am selecting which option? A, application table, because I am creating the business data in this table, not the system configuration data. It is mandatory option you need to provide, delivery class. And do you want to allow this, observe this, data browser, do you want to allow the user to create entries in the table or not? Do you want to allow the users to create entries in the table or not in the data dictionary level? Anyway, we can create through a program, that is different. But here, do you want to manually create the records in the table using this data dictionary or not? So if it is allowed with restrictions, you may not be able to create the records in the table, right? By using data dictionary table option. But that's why I'm allowing it. Delivery and maintenance, sorry, display and maintenance allowed. Go to the next step. Fields. What are the fields you want to maintain in the table? What are the fields you want to maintain in the table? Can you tell me customer master data fields? Sorry, yeah, employee, right? We are taking employee as example. Can you tell me employee master data, any employee master data? Sorry?
Employee ID.
Yeah, employee ID, that is mandatory. What are the other fields?
Employee name.
Yes, employee name is also master data. EMP ID, EMP name. Tell me more fields for the employee master data.
Phone number.
A phone number is the employee master data, correct?
Address, mail
Address.
ID.
Email, city, right?
Date of joining.
DOJ, date of joining is also, you can say it as a employee master data. Department, right? Department can be also a concerned employee master data. Now let's create the table then. What is the data type for employee ID? First tell me what is the type of data, employee ID. What type of data it is?
Character.
Numbers.
It depends, like in few organizations they use only numbers. In few organizations they use a combination of characters
Alpha.
and numbers. Alphanumeric. Yeah, you are right. For now we'll take it as character. Let's assume it is alphanumeric. Okay. Employee name.
Character.
Again character. What would be the length of employee ID?
10.
Let's assign 10 characters. Maximum length allowed is 10 characters. For employee name,
30.
30. For phone number, what is the data type for phone number?
Number.
Number, 10. Length is 10. For email ID,
Character.
character, length,
20.
for example, 40. City, character, so I'll assign 40 as the maximum length. For date, what is the data type? D.
Packet decimal.
Date.
Why you need packet decimal
10.
is for price. For date of joining, it is date, right? Date data type. D, type D. Department, again, character. Yeah, number also possible. So you don't need to define length for the date. It will automatically assign the length. Okay, you don't need to define the length for date data types. Okay. Now let's create the table. What is the first field of the table? And here, what is the unique field here? What is the unique field here? Can you identify the unique field here? There is no chance of repeating.
Employee ID.
Employee ID should be unique. It's like Aadhaar number. No, two employees should not have same employee ID. Every employee should have unique employee ID, right? And what about the employee name? Is it unique? Or there is a chance of repeated values? If you take any company, you can find a lot of employees with same name, right? Sinu, right? Srinivas Rao. You can find a lot of people with the same name. There is a chance of duplicate entry if you take employee ID as a employee name as a key. But if you take employee ID as a key, is it going to repeat? It won't repeat, right? For every employee, you are going to assign a unique employee ID. If you take phone number, there is less chance of repeating, but we cannot consider it as a key. Okay. Email ID also kind of unique, right?
Yes, sir.
Chance of repeating. City again. Multiple employees might be from same city, right? Again, duplicate data. Date of join, maybe 100 employees might be joined on the same date. It will repeat, right? For those 100 employees, date of join will be same. Department, multiple employees with the same department. It is also repeated data. So the best suitable key we can use for this table is employee ID, right? There is no chance of repeated entry, right? It is unique for every employee ID. That's why we take this as key, primary key. So primary key is a key which will uniquely identify the records, which restrict the duplicate records. Okay.
Duplicate files.
Field name can be anything. You don't need to start with Z, but always try to give as short as possible with meaningful name. Okay, as short as possible and should be meaningful. Okay, it's a key. Key means it's a primary key. I'm selecting it as a primary key. Now, what is the data type? We need to assign the data type. What type of data you are going to store?
Character.
Yeah, character data. Here you can see by default data elements that we can discuss after 2 sessions. For now, use built-in type where you can provide direct data type. What is the data type? Click here. Character, right? Character string, char. In our program we use it as C. Here we use it as char, char. Okay, both are same. Okay, don't confuse. In program we use it as C, char. And what is the length? 10. Provide the description. Employee ID. What is the next field?
Employee number.
Employee name.
Name.
It won't allow any space. Okay, it won't allow space in between the name. Okay, in between the field names. You can use underscore, emp underscore name. If you want to differentiate, right, you can use underscore. Again, that is optional. Char. What is the length? 40. Employee name, description. Phone.
Number.
For number, press F4 or keep the cursor. You can see this magnifier symbol, right? Press on this. It will show all the possible data types. Find for the number data type. This one, numerical text, num-c. What is the length? 10. Phone number. Email. Again, char, right? 40. Email. City. Char. I'll assign 40 again. City. That's it. These fields are enough for now, right? Now, I've defined the key field. Without the key field, you cannot create the table. Without providing the key field, you cannot create the table. Okay, it is mandatory to provide a key field. In some cases you need to provide multiple key fields, right? In some cases you need to provide multiple key fields. You can provide up to 16 primary keys. You can provide up to 16 primary keys for a table. Please remember. Okay, it is possible to provide 16 primary keys. So when you are creating the data, it will check that all 16 primary key combinations and allow the records. Okay, for example, if you take multiple primary keys, how it will work? 100, 100, 100. Let's assume both are primary keys. Let's assume both are primary keys. 100 is employee ID, this is the employee name. Let's assume both are primary keys. Now when we are creating this record, is it going to allow or reject? If you take these two as primary keys, is this a unique record or duplicate record?
Unique.
Unique, because employee ID may be same, but employee
Same.
name is different,
Employee
right?
name should be different.
Employee name is
Yeah.
different. So it is checking the combination of both keys and identify whether it is a duplicate or a unique record. Okay. If you are taking only one primary key, then it is a duplicate record. If you take only one primary key, employee ID as a primary key. Now we are done with the fields. Now the very important setting we need to do is technical settings. Observe this. Shortcut is Control Shift F9 or press technical settings. Save the table first. It will ask to save the table. Save it in the local object, local package. Continue. Click on continue. Now here the very important property you need to provide is data class. What type of data you are creating? Is it master data or transactional data? We are creating employee master data, right? Press this magnifier
Yes.
symbol. APPL 0 for master data, APPL 1 for transactional data. For now, just remember APPL 0 and APPL 1. APPL 0 is for master data, APPL 1 for transactional data. By using data class, what you are going to define? What type of data you are creating in the table? Is it a master data or transactional data? It's a master data, right? Select APPL 0. Size category also very important. What are the approximate number of records you are going to store in the table? Right? If you press on this magnifier symbol, it will show some range. If you provide 0 as size category, you can save the records up to 2100 records. If you select 1, you can save up to 8700 records in the table. It is approximate limit. Again, it won't stop you to create more records, right? Once the limit is completed, but it will create some approximate size in the table. Okay. For now, I am selecting 0. Depends on my organization. My organization have only 1000 employees, right? This limit is enough for me. That's it. Data class and size category. These two are important in the technical settings. Save the table. Go back. Press F3 or go back. Activate the table. That's it. Your table is ready. Now, how to create the records? Here you have utilities menu. Go to utilities menu, table contents. In utilities, table contents, create entries. EMP 100. I am creating alphanumeric name of 100. Phone number, some random phone number. test@gmail.com. City, Hyderabad. And save it. Okay, it will create a record in the table. Okay, so enter the data. So enter the data for the field and click on save. In some GUIs, you can see a save button here. Okay, so we can change the GUI theme. Depends on the theme, you can see options here instead of buttons. Okay, so if you change the theme of the GUI, which you can find in GUI settings, you can change that theme and like this. Here in the GUI settings, you can change the theme instead of buttons. Instead of these buttons, save and these buttons, you can see some buttons here, custom buttons in the bottom of the screen. Okay, but again, functionality is same. So I have entered the data and click on save to create the record in the table. Save. A database record with same keys already exist. Looks like I have already saved it and trying to save it again, right? Because with the same employee ID, it is not allowing to save one more record. Okay, let me change the employee ID. Click on save. Database record successfully created. Now go back to the table. Now go back to the table. Check what are the records available in the table. We have created 2 records, right? How to check the records? Here you can see contents, or in the utilities menu also somewhere you have these contents display, or the shortcut is this contents. Number of entries, press this number of entries. How many records are there in the table? 2 records. Execute the table or press F8, you can see the records. These are the 2 records created in the table. So these records are permanently stored in a database table. Okay, you don't need to access the database to create the data in database. By using data dictionary, a interface between application and database, you are creating a table by using data dictionary interface. Okay, we are not writing any SQL script here. By using simple navigations, we are able to create the table. But what is important here to create a table? You need to understand what are the primary keys we need to use in the table so that we can maintain proper data without any duplicate records. Okay, you need to do that analysis before going to create the table. So what are the maximum number of primary keys you can create in a table?
16.
16 primary keys. Up to 16 primary keys you can provide. Okay, minimum
1.
1 primary key is mandatory. Okay, so you need to do that analysis. What are the primary keys I need to use in the table? In one table you might take only 1 primary key. In other table you might take 5 primary keys. In other table you may need to take only 2 primary keys. That is purely depends on the business scenario, right? The type of data what you are saving in the table. Okay, for example, you are creating a table for employee salary. If you take only employee ID as primary key, is it going to work? Can you save all 12 months salary in the table? For the same employee, he is going to get salary for 12 months, right? Can we create records for all 12 months salary if you take only employee ID as primary key? Because it won't allow one more record, second month record, right, with the same employee ID. That case, what would be the primary keys? Employee ID
ID and salary.
month. Employee ID and month. So by using these 2 combinations, we can store 12 months records, right? Yes or no?
Yes.
Again, in this case, we can save only for 1 year, right? From January to December we can store, right, 01 to 12. What about the next year? Will it allow to create record for January again?
No.
No, right? Because with that employee ID and for that January month, record is already there in the table. It won't allow one more record, but we are creating in the next year. Then what would be the solution in this case? We need to take year as one more primary key to overcome this, right? Then it will check all these 3 combinations, employee ID, month and year, right? Because it's a new next year, it will allow one more record with the new year, right? Yes or no? Or you can
Yes, sir.
simply take date, salary date, right, complete date as key field. You don't need to take 2 different primary keys like month and date. If you take only complete date, it will also act as a proper primary key. Okay. Is everyone clear? This is how we create a table and save the data. Any questions here? So the important things you need to remember: transaction code to create the table. What is the transaction code to create the table? SC11. In SC11, select the table and create the table. And what is the important properties you need to provide in the table? Delivery class, right? What this delivery class defines? What type of table you are creating? Are you creating a table for business transactions like master data and transaction data, or system configurations? So we are creating an application table. Application table is for master data and transactional data, right? Type of the table. And what is the other property you need to provide? Delivery and maintenance allowed, that anyway that is mandatory. What about the next one? Provide the fields and select one field as a primary key. Okay, it will allow only unique records, it will avoid duplicate records. What is the max limit?
16 primary.
16 primary keys. Then what is the next important setting we need to do?
Technical setting.
Technical settings. Here what do we set? Data class,
Master data.
master 0 or transaction table APPL1. If you are creating transactional data, select APPL1. And what is the next important property we need to provide? Size category, approximate number of records in a table. Again, it won't stop you to create the more records when the limit is exceeded. Okay, it will automatically extend the limit, but if you select higher size category, it will unnecessarily consume the space in the database, even though you are selecting only few records in the table. That's why always provide relevant size category. Okay, the next session I will explain in detail about size category and data class. And what is the next step? Activate the table. And in utilities create entries, you can create the records. Okay, you can create the records here. Enter the values, but usually we don't use this to create the records in the table. It will be created through programs. Okay, save it. Okay, by contents execute, you can check the records in a table. Is everyone clear? Number of entries option, you can see how many records are there in the table. Okay, you can also filter the data. You can also filter the data using this. For example, I want to filter the data by city, Hyderabad. Number of entries, there are only 2 records for Hyderabad. Execute. So it will filter the data by using these inputs. Okay, is everyone clear on this? In the next session, I will explain in detail about database tables and data dictionary. I will provide some notes in the next session. Okay, so once we complete this basic data dictionary objects, right, again we will go back into programs. As I said in the previous sessions, ABAP is not completely coding. You need to, it's kind of a combination of both basic ABAP programming and navigations and designing. Okay, you need to design screens and you need to design the print layouts. Okay, and again you need to know how to write ABAP syntaxes. Any questions?